User joined your channel.
Hey, Relics here. Jing jing, hello. Hello, Revix. You're dead to me.
User left your channel. Sound muted.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 2 of Bad at Tanks. This week we're going to take a look at new game modes scheduled to be released in 7.4. We're also going to take a look a little bit at tournament news and a tool called ATC that hopefully everybody's using. If you're not, you'll have to get on board. First of all, I want to say grats to Eplepsis for last week's contest. Make sure you check your messages and we'll get you over that T14 and 1,000 gold. Make sure you stay tuned to the end of this episode and we'll have another little contest. Alright, so let's go ahead and take a look at new game modes. Overlord put on his blog that they have 3 that they're specifically looking at right now, 2 of which that'll be making it into 7.4. The first mode that we're looking at is Attack and Defense. This mode seems a lot like the Rush style from Battlefield 3 and a lot of first-person shooters like that I don't really care about. And it's basically you have a defending base and you have an attacking position, and you're trying to beat the defending position. So it should be pretty interesting to see that. I really like the Rush style in Battlefield 3. I'm not sure how it's going to transition over into World of Tanks since there's no respawn style or anything like that. And the defensive position usually has the upper hand in almost all situations. Now, the second game mode that they're talking about is counter battles. Essentially, counter battles are, instead of having 2 capture points, there's a single capture point in the center of the map that everybody's fighting for. So, game mode wise, I don't necessarily think I'd call it a game mode. It sounds like it's more just a different style of map. What I would like to see with them going with this, and this might be what they're thinking about overall, is having something like a reinforcement type of thing in the battle, where essentially if a tank dies, it respawns back at base, but it leaves its wreckage out, and then kind of make it so tier points are essentially what the resource would be. So if you have 10 tier 10 runs in, then there's a 100-point reinforcement, and then as people died, it would take from that until you're out of tanks. And then have something with the center, instead of it being a battle of who gets to 100 points first and knocking everybody back, having kind of like first to 500 or first to 1,000. So basically everybody's rushing to that center to be able to get their points up the fastest. And I think that would be a lot of excitement. You'd have to do away with artillery because I think that would be a little overpowered in that type of scenario. But I think it could be a blast to have just a bunch of tanks going at it in the center, trying to get the most capture point. The last mode that they're talking about is historical battles. I know a lot of people are really looking forward to this. I know I am. So it should be really interesting to see it implemented. It is not going to be in 7.4 according to the information on Overlord's blog. So hopefully we'll see that in a future patch here. Essentially the way historical battles are going to work is there's specific tanks or specific tiering that's going to be available in those battles. And it's going to be based on what year it happened or possibly what battle it is for what kind of tanks that can be brought. So that should be really interesting to see. One thing to note that he put in there was the expected time for a single scenario, he said, was around 2 hours. Now that seems a bit excessive for any team to be able to get into, counting on players to stay around for 2 hours. So I'm really wondering where they're going with this, if maybe that was like a chain of battles with different people over a scenario, or maybe we're going to see some kind of like raid type content like you would see in like WoW or something else, where you essentially have a co-op team going up against like an NPC tank army. And that could be really cool to see. It is one thing to note on this. This is supposed to be an accompanying style too, so you're not going to be able to just random up into it. That obviously might change, which I'm not sure if that would be for better or for worse. It really depends on exactly how they're implementing this. But it should be interesting, and hopefully we'll get a lot more information as it kind of gets a little bit closer. All right, let's go ahead and talk about tournament news. First of all, General Direction dropped some hints, not so subtle hints. So we'll be seeing the second Absolute Power tournament coming in, which is the clan-only tournament, starting sometime probably in middle June, July-ish time. I'd imagine it's probably going to be late June, to early July, just because of the Classic League that's going on right now, which involves a lot of clans, and that might be a little much to put on them all to show up for, considering all the tournaments that are out right now. So with all the stuff going on right now, the Classic League, the Absolute Power, skirmishes, the 5v5s, there is a lot of tournament content out there, and I think we're getting to the point where people are going to have to start pick and choosing which tournaments they're going into. So we should start seeing a lot more different winners of these different tournaments, which should be pretty interesting. Rounds of the Classic League starting up this coming Saturday. So we'll get a lot of the final winners for their divisions, start taking a look at the wild cards and who exactly is going to have battles for tiebreakers. I know that we are going to have some Week 10 tiebreakers of actual divisions, so that should be really exciting. Make sure you send in your replays so that we can do a shoutcast on that. Lots of exciting stuff with tournaments coming up. Make sure you're checking out the shoutcast to catch all the action going on. All right, so let's talk a little bit about a tool called ATC. That's Advanced Tactical Center. So for those of you that don't know what it is, it's essentially a program that you and your buddies log into, and you can see a big map of, different World of Tanks Clan Wars maps. And you can put down little icons and such of where you want certain types of tanks. You can write on it, so you can give directions or write descriptions of exactly what tank you want in this position. So it helps out a lot for setting up strategies for Clan Wars and tournaments. So I'll have a link in the description for you to go ahead and download it, as well as a map pack that you can use with it. That way you have some good quality maps for setting up on it. So let's go ahead and actually take a look at ATC and give you an idea on what you need to do in it, and talk a little bit about strategy. All right, to start off our little demonstration of ATC here, let's go ahead and take a look at the map Cliff. So go ahead and load that up here. You can see we have a nice full high definition map showing all of Cliff. So one of the key things we want to look at least today, and we'll go over a little bit more in future episodes where we get a little bit more specific with strategies. But one thing we've noticed through watching some of the tournaments and seeing a lot of Clan Wars is tank placement. A lot of times you'll see strategists want to just get as many tanks in a certain section as possible and hope that it works out that they have everything that they're needing. So we'll just go for a tank setup off the top of my head here. We'll go with 6 tier 10 heavies, so I'll drop 2 here right by the lighthouse. I'll put an additional one here and here so that they can support the lighthouse group, plus support the medium tank that I'm going to sit over there to the bull, just to do some initial lighting over the top here and make sure that there's nothing coming around or getting up in here, so these guys can at least fire across and help him. And we'll go ahead and drop our last heavy. We'll keep him in the city as well. We then have 2 artillery that we could place. Since we're giving up everything in the 1-2 on that side, we'll go ahead and bring them all the way up here. This way they have they're not as vulnerable to other tanks incoming. From the down here, they're going to have to come all the way up the hill. Meanwhile, these guys could reposition if they need to. We could have these guys pull back and fire on the cap if we need to. The artillery should be able to fire on the cap. We can support our rush around here, or if our medium notices that there's not really anything that they have to worry about through here, then we can push these guys around and these guys around and just get a quick fight there. Our artillery should have pretty clear shots on just about everything except for obviously right behind here, behind the bull. And then with that, the extra 4 points we have, I would probably look at running a T50, and then you can just have him kind of float around and scout. He's not going to be as agile as a T50-2, but I think in this scenario he'll at least be able to get the job done. He can peek around in the 1-2, see if there's anything coming that way, then come back up, do some loops over here. He's kind of a throwaway scout. We still have the medium that can do scouting later on if we need to. So we have plenty of eyes to be able to help out with this strategy. And once we've identified everything, we'll just do a push and start knocking stuff out. If they do the 1-2 push, we pull these guys back, maybe an additional tank if we need to. Still leave 2 to make sure that the lighthouse is covered just in case they do send anything. Unless, as we talked about in one of the tournament matches, we count their tanks and we notice that every single one of them are through the 1-2, in which case you just bring every tank back. You might push the bat shot or the medium and one other tank all the way onto their cap to make sure that they take out any artillery over there while this push is going in, just to see if you can knock that out and take advantage of that opportunity of them being open in the back. So this is just an example of some of the stuff you can do in ATC. I think it makes everything a lot clearer to your members that are playing with you, to exactly what they're expected to be done. This is not the be-all, end-all of strategizing, so you want to make sure you actually get into these maps, take a look at the different spots, do some testing, and that'll really get you a lot farther in the tournament, knowing exactly what's going to happen on each map. All right, let's go ahead and talk about our highlights of the week. First up, our garage highlight is a little thing called ventilation. Obviously, a lot of people that are used to the game, been around for a while, know what ventilation is, so you can go ahead and mute or do something entertaining. So essentially what ventilation does, it gives a 5% boost to all of your crew's skills. What does that mean, Relics? Well, that means that your gunner's going to aim faster, your loaders are going to reload faster. Essentially, what your crewmates do to improve your tank are going to go 5% better. So it is a great skill. It adds up with everything else for like your commander. If he's at 100%, gives a boost to all of your crew. So it's a great thing to have on pretty much every tank. One thing to note on artillery is some of the open top artillery already have ventilation because, well, they're open top and they don't need ventilation at all. So you don't need to worry about it on those. But overall, on pretty much all tanks, I have ventilation on it. So it's a great module to pick up. It's anywhere from like 50,000 to 250,000, I think, credits. So I would try it out. All right, our mod highlight of the week is going to be Demole's damage panel. Essentially, this is the little heads-up display that I have in the bottom left, and it shows what my health of my tank is, shows what crew's dead, what modules are dead. It pops up with big flamies if I'm on fire, so you got a pretty good cue for that. It also has a nice little damage meter, so you can see exactly how much damage you've taken from each hit. So that's pretty interesting to see exactly what you took and what killed you in the battle and whatnot. So it's all very compact with the information. It makes it really easy for me to just look down at it and know what the current situation with my tank is. So I definitely suggest picking it up. I'll have a link down in the description for you for curse.com's download for it, so make sure you check it out. All right, so we'll go ahead and do another giveaway this week. So make sure that you are subscribed to our channel. Leave a comment below, maybe about the new game modes or what you think about ATC. I'll go ahead and pick a random comment and we'll hand out another T14 with 1,000 gold. So enjoy your big hunk of tank. That's it for this week. Make sure you take a look at the shoutcasts that we're rolling out weekly. We'll have those out on Wednesday with week 8's episodes. So make sure you take a look. I'll have a link somewhere around here for you. Also, make sure you take a look at curse.com for any of your modding needs. Everything I use in any of my videos is down there. Next week, we'll probably talk a little bit more about 7.4. We have some more information from Overlord that has to do with like commander tanks and other little additions that they're doing. So we'll go through some of those details. So see you then.